Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today we are doing my July reading wrap up with a total of 11 books. I definitely read a lot more this month than I do normally, but we had a few 5-star reads this month, which is always shocking because I feel like I'm kind of a harsh reader, kind of hard to please, but we had a few 5 stars, so make sure you stick around and see what those were. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and let's get into it. First book we have, strong start, is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. So this book is considered a historical fantasy, which I'd actually have never experienced before, but I love this book. It's YA, it is a workplace rivals to lovers type story. So basically there is a war between gods going on in this time period, kind of Hades Persephone going to war type vibe. And it is about 2 writers, Roman Kit, our main male character, and Irish Winnow, our main female character, and they decide basically what side of history they want to be on as writers and as news reporters. I honestly could not explain to you what I love so much about this book, but something about it I loved. The cliffhanger too, that was crazy. If you've never read a historical fantasy, I would recommend this for a good start. If you're into any of those type of historical fictions or trying to get into them like Babel and whatnot, I would definitely recommend something like this to start. It's a little easier and just so good. 5 out of 5 stars for Divine Rivals. The next book that we had was Satan's Affair by H.D. Carlton. If you're unfamiliar, this is the prequel to the cat and mouse duet, aka Haunting and Hunting Adeline. Basically, if you're unfamiliar, Sibby travels in this carnival called Satan's Affair that comes out during the fall, you know, October time, and her whole goal is to cleanse the world of real monsters. So she's like kind of cuckoo, but like she, you know, eradicates bad people, so it's kind of like a gray situation. But I gave this 2 out of 5 stars, and I expected, I don't know, something more like Haunting Adeline, which I gave 4 stars, and Hunting Adeline, which I gave 3 stars, but this was just more gore. It definitely was darker than I anticipated. I feel like some books like these are prioritizing more so of a shock factor, and that's just not necessarily for me. But you definitely don't have to read this book if you want to read the other 2, but I read it. 2 out of 5 stars. Next book we have is Ruthless, Vows, the second book in the Letters of Enchantment duology. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. So this picks up right where the first one ended, so I can't tell you very much without spoilers. I feel like Rebecca Ross in this did so well with a trope that is my least favorite trope of all time. I think she did really well with it. I was kind of worried, but it wasn't annoying. But basically this book wraps up the war that's going on and getting our happy ending between our main characters and all that stuff. But this just, I don't know, something about this was missing the spark from the first book, but still really good. Would absolutely recommend this duology. 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Powerless by Lauren Roberts. If you've been on TikTok and if you're on Book Talk, you've probably seen Lauren Roberts. She's been doing really well with just kind of graphing her entire writer and writing process on TikTok. This book, I gave 5 out of 5 stars. Ooh, crazy. So basically Lauren mentioned that she wrote this between the ages of 16 and 18. I don't quite remember, but she kind of is like, I know a lot of people are hating on it, but once again, I wrote it as a kid. Like I just put in every trope that I liked into this one book. So this book is about a girl named Peyton. She lives in a world where you have to have powers or else you are assassinated. And so her entire life has been trained to fake a specific power, but she is an ordinary. She doesn't have powers. Then one day she gets entered into a trial where you have to have powers to survive. And she meets my love of my life, Kai Hazard. I love him so much. He's my new book boyfriend. I would do anything for him, actually. And so yeah, we have morally gray main male character. We have strong female character. We have trials. We have powers. We have touch her and you'll die. We have enemies to lovers. We have all the good things needed. I love this book. So good. I couldn't put it down. I know a lot of people are hitting on it due to its just lack of amazing literacy, but I thought it was so good. I would absolutely recommend this. 5 out of 5 stars. It made me feel some type of way. After that, I read Powerful, which is a 1.5 in the series. So this series is planned to be a trilogy. So this is in between book 1 and book 2. This is about Peyton's best friend. So it's going on at the exact same time, and this book ends at the end of Powerless. I honestly wasn't quite sure which direction I was gonna go. I was like, this is like a good book, but like, you know, meh. And then the ending hit. The quote quotes, the heart-wrenching quotes about the stars and all that, I was like, okay, 5 out of 5 stars. My Goodreads says, quote, this is what I wrote for it: Lauren is diabolical for putting this as a 1.5 instead of a 0.5, and that's why I'm drowning in tears. And all I meant by that is, for example, I read Assassin's Blade before I read Throne of Glass, so I didn't really care about the characters in that or the specific character that you could compare to this book. No spoilers, but I was like, this is sad, but you know, like whatever. But by putting this as a 1.5, it just was so much more sad. So much more sad. It was hard. 5 out of 5 stars. Next book we have is Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. I am in fact trying to finish all of her books because the thing with her is she can write a mean thriller. This book, if it was a thriller more so than a dark romance, would have been such a higher rating. But I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. So basically this is about a woman named Sawyer who is running from the US law enforcement. We don't really know why. And she runs into a man named Enzo, and some things happen, and then they end up stranded on an island together. So H.D. Carlton, I feel as though in most of her books, there's like a smut scene that's like known. Like in Haunting Adeline, you've heard of the gun scene, for example. In this book, it's the shark scene. Excluding all the smut, this book, it had me like on the edge of my seat. Then in the middle of something crazy going on, they end up, you know, and I'm like, is that necessary? I know that's it's her thing, it's her writing style, but if she went thriller and then added romance into her thriller, we would be cooking with gas. But still, really good. Very much on the edge of my seat the entire time during this book. 3 out of 5 stars though, because at points I was like, okay, maybe I'll just skip these scenes. Next book we have is Ruthless, which is the second book in the Powerless trilogy. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. This book actually came out, was it June or July? It came out recently, probably the beginning of July. So that's why I was kind of in a rush to like start this series. But this book was exceptional. Once again, it picks up right at the end of the first one, so I can't explain too much. The plot twist was absurd at the end. I'm like a plot twist guesser, but the end was just so rushed that I kind of like forgot that I needed to guess the plot twist, and then it happened and I was like, oh no. But yeah, this series has been insane, and Kai Azar, the man that you are. The man that you are. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Love this series so far. Next book we have is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jenson. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I have such mixed feelings about this book because the main male character, Bjorn, is actually one of the funniest characters I've read in a book that wasn't trying to be a comedy. He's absolutely hilarious. So this book is based on Norse mythology. It is about this main woman, Freya, who has God's blood in her. And basically this book is trying to figure out where she is placed in the war and what is her journey and why she has God's blood in her. Like, why did the gods pick her? I just feel as though this book was written in a way where I should already have knowledge on Norse mythology and Norse related content when I didn't. If she even wrote like a For Dummies at the end or like a glossary or something, or maybe just like overly explained stuff, I feel like I would have done a little better. But I still really enjoyed this book and will definitely be reading the rest of the series. It's also very pretty. You can't really tell, but that's like a light blue. But yeah, Bjorn is hilarious and I love him. And she's a very strong main female character too. So like win-win. But yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. My classic for the month is 1984 by George Orwell. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. That's kind of my normal classic rating, except for The War of the Worlds. That was 4 out of 5 stars, but nothing's really compared there just because of a different, you know, different age, different writing style. But this book, it was really good. It was kind of a mix of his other book, Animal Farm, mixed with like Fahrenheit 451. So definitely a dystopian future about the government filtering your thoughts and your job. Like you just having no freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of mind. None of that is allowed in this book. So basically talking about that and the rebellion that takes place, all that type of dystopian stuff. So yeah, I definitely would recommend like everyone to read this, but of course it's a classic, so it's a little slower. But yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. Next, we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. So in the month of February, if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I read romances only, and I tried some contemporary romances, which normally isn't my thing. I only tried Ellie Hazelwood, if I remember correctly, and I was like, I don't like this. But this book, I was like, I need some summery books, and like summer. I give this 4 out of 5 stars. This book really shocked me in a wonderful way. So basically this is about a woman who ends up, due to reasons you'll find out when you read it, living in a beach house next door to her college rival. So they haven't seen each other in, you know, a few years. There's no like bad blood, but she always was like, wow, he's pretentious. And, you know, she thought that he thought that she was all sunshines and giddy and, you know, like life was perfect because she is is a romance author now, and he is a literary fiction author. So very different. You know, you would think she's more positive and bubbly and, you know, life has all this meaning, when he's the opposite. But yeah, they end up striking a deal with each other that she needs to write a book in the genre that he writes in, and he needs to write a book in the genre that she writes in. And then the ending just got really sad for a little bit. I was actually sobbing. I was like, okay, Emily, I see you. I actually picked up, if you can see, this bright green spine right there. I think it's called People We Meet on Vacation, and that's another one of her books. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get through all those this summer. I say as it's gray and raining today, but that's okay. So yeah, 4 to 5 stars. Definitely would read this if you're into romances. My final book of this month was Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I gave this one 4 to 5 stars. This is a thriller, okay? And I am a thriller girl, but I've actually never read a thriller book before. I read Silent Patient. I don't know, when did I read that? Last year sometime? But I haven't read one since, and this was a really popular one. Basically, this is about a woman whose daughter goes missing one day out of the blue. Nothing really makes sense. And then about 10 years later, she starts dating a man whose daughter looks a lot like her missing daughter. And then things just start going crazy. But I did guess the plot twist of this book really, really early on. Actually, I guessed like anything you had to like quote find out, I did guess within the first 100 pages, but that's a me problem. I'm not gonna blame the author for that. That's just how I am. Someday I'll find a thriller author who I can't guess the plot twist for, but until that day, I'm left with disappointment. I couldn't put this book down though, although I knew what was coming. It wasn't like one of those predictable books where you're like, oh, I know the end, I'm just gonna stop reading. I was like, okay, well, do I know? But yeah, 4 to 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. Anyway, you guys, thank you so very much for watching this video. I appreciate it as always. I know I do post to YouTube like once a month, but I have been trying to post on TikTok every day. So if you didn't know, all my socials are linked below. So make sure you go check those out. Life has just been busy, you know, so it's just work and reading. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and leave a comment of the favorite book that you have read in the month of July. Also, any that you are looking forward to on your TBR. I'll see you guys at the end of August for my next month reading wrap up. Bye, everyone.